Deeply awake, Kathy Vick. How have you been, gang? The last time I came to you was the day after Thanksgiving, and I've let it roll. Have you been having a good time? Has it been hard? Has it been weird? It's been all of those things for me too, I guess. But I really want to give an update about Ascension, about energy, and what you've seen is something that I didn't really get until like 2 mornings ago. It's been really freaky how every morning I wake up and the information, the knowledge is so crystal clear and so pertinent. And like the very next step. We can't really go any further without this, dear one, is what I feel I'm being told. And you're finally ready. So here you go. As a result, I feel as if much of the work that you have witnessed, if you're a reader or a viewer, a follower, is, well, it's helpful, but it was done without understanding what I was doing. And so I knew that was part of it, to just like let it roll. I don't think anyone really, except my son, will ever understand what an act of defiance and will and sheer improbability this whole thing was. And it couldn't be stopped. I couldn't be stopped. I couldn't stop it. And so, I don't know. A couple days ago, I woke up and I realized it was a really simple question. What happens when you get a big hit of light? And then you have to explain everything to yourself again, which is what I've been saying was part of the reason that I started Deeply Awake in the first place. I got these tremendous hits of light. By that I mean I had visions that floored me, that that changed me, that didn't seem real, but were more real than what I had going on. Ooh, what do you do then? So I realized a couple days ago, well, what you do is you explain it to yourself. You do this. What I was told and what I understand is, and what I call a reverse autobiography. Everything is different now. So let me explain what that meant for me. 6 years ago, on Christmas Eve of 2012, I had received many, many visions, and what I understand now are light activations, DNA activations that were on time, requested, appropriate, and completely unexpected. And within these messages of love and healing and freedom was the understanding that we all love each other here. That the things that I see as conflict or as difficulty or as cruelty, everything is made of, by, because of this divine love, this liquid golden love that I was finally ready to see on Christmas Eve of 2012 in the cab of a truck, holding on to my son, baseline, disappointed in myself, upset, feeling doomed as usual. And out of the blue, in the dark of night, my world lit up. I saw everything was light. I understood we all love each other. We are so stone cold in love with each other. Come back from that and try to explain emotional abuse, cruelty, anger, hatred, prejudice. This dissonance is what caused true suffering. And I now believe that really for me, going forward, I understand that suffering is dissonance. It's having something happen and not understanding why. Having something happen and not being able to cope with it. And perhaps having no one around you to talk to about it. That's a recipe for physical illness. Being isolated. But I've come to recognize that I have indeed isolated myself from myself. And so I think that the last 6 years was me trying to figure out how to bring up the parts of me that were not in alignment with this divine love that I can't deny. I know exists. I know it does. I've had near-death experiences. I've had my time in a meditation chair. I've had my fair share of miracles, and I've created many, many. So I realized, well, okay, 6 years. There was a lot to reconcile. There was a lot. And I mean, that's why I think I brought up my astrology the way I did. Because my natal chart, for a skilled astrologer, it's all you have to do is look at it and you'll know what I've been through. You'll also know that I chose it, that I wanted it, because I could handle it, because this isn't my first rodeo. It's my last. This time around, on this planet. It doesn't mean I'm not going to come back again and again until it's complete. But not as I was before. And the same is true for you, whether you believe that or not. For a lifetime, I realized a couple days ago that I had succumbed to the tyranny of conformity, and that I had plagued myself by considering myself imperfect because I wasn't normal. And you know, I've had a lash. I've had someone with a lash saying, "Be normal, be normal." So it's not like it's just something that I thought up on my own. I didn't cook this fucknuttery up. Yeah, normal. And so I had innately some issues to work out when it came to good and bad, right and wrong, love and hate. I bobbed around in a lot of paradox for a long time. And that kind of dissonance creates suffering. It's the suffering of the awakening. An awakener knows that before the sun comes up, before the clouds clear, it gets mighty dark. And you know there's nothing left. Because truly there isn't. when you've pushed the boundaries of your consciousness as far as you can to explain things to yourself, to come to peace with things. I don't know. They're boxes, they're storylines, they're explanations. And as we mature and grow, I think we realize that our explanations for things that happen to us, things that are happening, are perhaps not the gold standard of reality, of truth. Perhaps these explanations are simply that. And you do realize that you are walking around with explanations you've given yourself when you were a tot about how people are, about how they will behave when you behave X, Y, they'll behave this way. And those are the things that are up for review when you get a big hit of light. So for me, I have more peace because I don't feel foolish anymore. That was a very big theme in my life. Excuse me, I have to cough now. This idea that I had to avoid being seen as a fool, or indeed being a fool. And I finally have realized that there are people in this particular reality that like to booby trap realities for others, just to watch, just to have fun with it. There's a lot of different people about. There are a lot of different games being run. And some of the issues I've grappled with, I do see playing out on the national stage. And I think that it boils down to denial and fear. And realizing slowly that those are indeed poisons. And we ingest them, and then we take more poisons to cope with these interpersonal poisons, these societal poisons. So what I'm realizing, I think, it finally is that I was never supposed to be normal. How am I supposed to be normal? You puzzle me that. It's just not possible. And I really super grieve that. I was in love for a time with someone who was living a quite conventional life. And I remember that part of the just the desperate longing I had was for just a week of living in predictability. Just a flash of things never changing. I like that a lot. But I have come to recognize that that's something I really like to visit. But it's not how I'm built. And if that makes me abnormal, well, okay. It makes me abnormal to someone. You have to compare me to decide whether I'm normal or not. And I know about myself, I'm just too big to put into one role, one slot, one title. I can't even do it spiritually. There's just too much. That's good. My memory finally came in. It took a while. And this whole process since 2012 has been really just remembering, and I really feel like is it Osiris or Isis who got chopped up and got put back together again? I feel like I'm being put back together again, while fully understanding that I never really got chopped up, but it sure felt like that. So I realized, yeah, this is what it's been. It's been this light that beamed into my life, into my heart, into my soul, and told me it was time. It was time to start. It was time to come home. I decided, I was given the choice. I decided to do it on the ground. I decided to not go away. I could have. I wanted to. But it's very compelling here. And I want to see how things turn out. I want to see how I turn out. What I see now is daily gets getting clearer and clearer that it really is about fence sitting. I always thought that picking a side of the fence, jumping off the fence and joining a team, well, that must have had to do with, I don't know, socialization or politics or something like that. I find it, well, just another big practical joke and a laugh out loud thing to discover that this process is an internal one. I get to choose whether intimacy and closeness keeps me in panic. It might touch off panic. Do I allow it to paralyze me? I get to choose. I choose what goes into my mouth, and I choose what comes out of my mouth. I didn't have that for a while. It was very curious, and I didn't like it at all. But I felt like the person who was saying the words to others and me were very, very different people. I couldn't seem to sync that up. It's finally coming online. There's finally integration. And it matters to me to use the powerful magic of this voice, of this mind, and of this heart consciously. I don't want to say for good, to help others. It's not about that. Not for me. Not anymore. The focus has shifted. And it would be very hard to just write it down and have it be clear what this focus is like, because it is really new, and I'm certain would be easily pathologized. But what I understand is that everything is here. Everything. And it's up to me to be mindful of my frequency, because within frequencies there are certain things that are available and certain things that aren't. And this has taken months to integrate. Daily finishing school, daily working on it. This has been some of the hardest work of my life. Thankfully, I have mentors and friends. So, and it's like the world is beginning to open up in a new way, because I'm opening up in a new way. I know that the fence is there because of the fact of fear. Fear is a construct. It's an infection. It's a virus. It's foreign. It's foreign. It creates illness, famines, war, and suffering. Because we all know biologically we deserve love. We deserve gentleness. That we do best when we're accepted. Each of us know this. And when we encounter things that are not that, explanations have to be made. It matters where I put my consciousness, where I hold it. It matters to remember about whales, archangels, Jesus, Ascension, light shows, light ships. It's such a blessing to finally have access to that in daily life. I would go out the front door and I didn't have access to it. I understand now it's because I had made an agreement to stay within the consciousness parameters of those around me. This is a good way to stay safe when you're a shaman. But it's also a really, really good way to lose yourself if you're a shaman. And to have created for you, out of this need, an inner life that is lush and vibrant and miraculous and alive, and an outer life that's dead. So I'm realizing that I've just spent a long time working on the inside, appropriately so. I came here to ascend. That's why I'm here. And I've been saying those words since the early 90s. And I've known them in my heart since I was a child and I was visited by Jesus. And he had a couple things to explain to me. He never said the ascension word, but he told me what I'd be up to. And sure enough, I finally believe him. After all this time, I don't think Jesus is a liar anymore. That's good. That's another paradox I can take off my koan list. I actually did do an essay yesterday entitled Koans Cracking on an Open Fire. But I wasn't quite there. I bring this to you on the day after solstice because it's important, I think, to have someone who is honestly going through these changes and is willing to report what they're like. My information is consistent with the stuff you're getting in QHHT, all over the internet. It's there. There's a thread of coherence that runs through certain work. And I'm of a certain family and a certain vibration and frequency, so I resonate with things that feel like home to me. And I don't expect anyone else to, but it certainly is a pleasure when I do encounter those people. I would sing a song of celebration because this has been a hard couple of years. 16, 17, 18, they were tricky. I'm reminded of what Cryon said in 2012 or 2013, I think it was. That, or maybe even 14, but anyway, he said that the divide, the 2012 mark. Well, it wasn't like a specific thing. It wasn't like we hit the gong on that day. It's more of a let's spread it around a little bit. It's not quite so exact. In fact, there are some who say that the cleave happened well before 2012. Anyway, if we say that it happened on the solstice of 2012, he said that 2013 really couldn't be considered anything but a year of full moons. That there was so much adjustment going on that we really didn't even get a handle on things until mid 2014. So for him, he starts counting our new Earth as having been born on 2014 at 2014. And I believe that makes this a 5-year, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, a 5. Never been very fond of 5s. They remind me of things I don't like, and it's an unstable energy, and it's full of change, and it's like, it's a transition number, and its whole thing is that it's moving from a lower frequency to a higher frequency, and you have to go through a gate, and that gate is 5. And this is a 5-year in Crayon's reckoning, an 11-year numerologically. So it's just too spectacularly beautiful right now for me to do much except be in gratitude and wonder. 24 years ago, my teachers ascended on the 12/12. I liked that it was 24 years this year. And that ascension of 12/12/94, that timing turned out to be extremely important to a lot of different things. And the numbers 22 and 33 showed up a lot with their work as it began to populate or repopulate in my reality. So I like that as I was celebrating the 12/12. 24 years. How is that possible? I feel like I've lost a lot of time, but I know that it was purposeful, beautiful. And now it's just simply time to be somebody else. To be who I always was, actually. This atypical, not normal, spiritual dynamo. And I can't wait. I'm really having fun with that. So what I'm sensing is I got a lot of information. I've been listening to some regression tapes, and I've gotten my own information. And we talk about the event, and I do believe that there's a manufactured quality to it, because anytime you have a spiritual event where, ooh, I could lose out. Well, all right, either you lose out or you don't. Either you buckle down and do it or you don't. If you have intention, it's yours. If you don't have intention, funny, things won't work out very good. So I think that this ascension process has been ongoing. It hasn't stopped, but this event that we keep hearing about is nothing more than what many of us have embedded into our DNA and know to expect and know to work toward. I've heard it said that the sun is going to belch. It's just going to have a little hiccup, and we're going to get some unusual energy at that time. Recently, I've had it explained that perhaps this energy is not going to be some Children of the Sun event where everyone's out on the lawn looking up going, oh Christ, what's going on? But instead, maybe it'll just be a hit of light like I had, where the inside of your eyeballs and your high heart, your pineal gland, your body is shown, simply shown. the truth of it. That we're made from liquid golden benevolence. That this is a safe place. It's intended to be a safe and loving place. How does that happen? People are safe and loving toward themselves and others. How do we get there? A change of heart. How does that happen? One by one. Quietly, reverently, in awe and wonder, release and bliss. How could it be any other way? Anything else is a fever dream thought up by someone who believes that God's abandoned us. I've said that the event is something that will be transfiguring for some. It's not as if I think that old souls are going to trot out on their lawn and, so in some kind of synchronized event, go bing, and as a result of our going bing, everyone's going to wake up. I've never seen it like that. It's more cooperative than that. Even my own teachers needed a celestial trigger to ascend. And this lends to a group approach, a synchronized approach. For some. For those who don't consider it folly and don't consider themselves fools, for listening to that silent, at times overwhelming voice within. I'm doing my best to have a happy daily life. It's getting better because I feel better. So I guess if you can take anything away, it's here I am, 57 or whatever, and I'm still growing strenuously, permanently, vibrantly, evolving, maturing, growing. It's false to believe that we hit a certain age and it's to our benefit to lock up and stay the same. It's not a badge of honor. It's an indication of fear. And it's okay. It's okay. Not everyone could have handled this kind of life. Not everybody. It required everything. Every single thing I had. And so it really is nice to know that I'm at the end of it. I've been saying that for a while too, haven't I? Oh well. I mean, yeah. The wheels were off for a while. Then they were a little wobbly. Now I'm scooting around pretty good. And it's becoming clearer and clearer to me that I just don't want to stay put anymore. I hope that you had a good solstice, a good Hanukkah, good Kwanzaa, good Diwali, good Christmas, good cheer, this blessed holiday season. I hope that we can carry the reverence and the otherworldliness and the heightened thinking with us into January and beyond. I feel like 2019 is just going to be gift after gift. Just delight and joy after delight and joy. Partly to get me ready for 2020. Because that's a big one. 2020 and 2032, those are big ones. I feel like 2020 is bigger than 12. It's big. It's a big one. So I'm going to fortify with what I know to be sturdy and true and good for me. And that is all the things I've discussed. The things that I know you know are good for you too, and would probably be in your best interest to spread around to others. Yes? I'm really super glad to have that portion of my psyche that was so unhinged and unconscious and needing to connect. Oh my God, I'm really glad that she's quieter. I'm glad that she's gotten the answers that she needed. I've gotten so many answers lately. And I hope that you're open to having that kind of a process occur for you, or using dreams, or there's many ways to get there. And all rivers lead to the ocean. So, thank you for your time. I've got a great day planned. Such happiness, such goodness. And that's nice. I have had a lot of healing time, and there's a part of me that knows that neurologically it's a requirement. So I've been healing for quite some time, and stayed in one place because of it, my little healing tent. And I've made forays out there, and I have found that my consciousness is no longer limited by those I'm associating with. I don't have to resent them anymore for shutting me down. It was an agreement I'd made. And I don't have to agree to it anymore. That comes with knowing that I've de-weaponized myself, that I have defanged and declawed myself, and gotten rid of that nearly unconscious, silent monster who walked with me and could turn anything into something worthy of being made fun of. This wicked part that was so jaundiced, so cynical, so hateful. Once you realize you've done something like that, and realize that it really wasn't voluntary, it was simply a coping mechanism. There's no need to double down on that behavior anymore. So I'm having the sensation of what it's like when, like after, if you've been a sloppy drunk and then you're not a drunk anymore, there's like a period of re-entry where you don't exactly know how people are going to deal with you, and you don't exactly know how you're going to deal with them or yourself or anything. You're just walking around like an infant, even though you might be, I don't know, skagged out in your 40s. I don't mind feeling that way. I like being a beginner. I like being a student. And I like being a master too. I like being able to keep it all here and being aware of all of these levels, all of these lifetimes, all of these, I don't know, galactic movements, all of the responsibility. And why any of it is there. Because of all that love. So I've said I'm at peace. I really believe I am now. I'm getting there. Some days are better than others. And, you know, PTSD is I think it's called CPTSD, but it's something I'm finally admitting. It's like everybody can see it, but it's like, yeah, I know. I'm just having an echo of something weird. Just give me a minute. So, it's just, I think that a lot of it's just seeing myself better, more lovingly, more acceptingly, openly, authentically. It feels really good. It feels so good not to hate myself anymore. It feels so good not to be afraid of myself. It feels so good not to be making myself into a fool for feeling how I feel, thinking what I think, and knowing what I know. So it feels like a barrier has been removed, a wall within my own self. Maybe the fight never was out there. Although I can assure you, I've had some really amazing sparring partners who really needed to mix it up. That's okay. They pick somebody who knows how to be scrappy. It's kind of hard to believe I got a haircut long ago where I shaved the sides. My son said, "Oh my God, Mom, look, there's these white streaks now." Yeah, it's so cool. I love it. I love it. All right. So there you go. How about if you spend like 2 minutes in front of the mirror commenting on things you love, not like, not tolerate, love about you. Maybe it's your elbows. I don't know. Give it a try. It's kind of fun. All right. Season's blessings.